We've got a handful of primetime games, the Steam Report with Gianni, the Greek, some barking dogs. Do we have a trap game this week? I don't know. The Deli has been rocking and rolling at 21-13 on the season. And of course, we've got those best bets coming up next on Bet on It. I'm Kelly Stewart, Marco D'Angelo, front and center. Gianni the Greek, not so centered in his shot. All jokes aside, we're going to get right into these primetime games, starting with Thursday Night Football. Marco is going first. Minnesota is now a 3-point underdog at the Los Angeles Chargers. 44.5 here, Marco. I want to like the Vikings so bad betting against the Chargers, but Carson Wentz just makes my stomach turn.
Yeah, well, Kelly, you know what made my stomach turn was last week's performance in the NFL. Hey, I'll get it out of the way. Go ahead, drop the comment. We sucked in the NFL last week, no question about it. You're going to have those kind of weeks every once in a while. And it's going to happen when, Kelly, all of the public teams, come home. When you have so many favorites win and, it just looks easy. That's not when we're going to make money, at least not for me. And it was a rough week. So I own it. It's bounce back week in the NFL this week. And let's start with the LA Chargers, one of those teams that was ugly. And I don't know which was uglier, the Chargers' performance or those damn uniforms that they were wearing last week. I don't know what was up with that, but they were bad. I always say no team is as bad is their worst game, nor are they as good as their best game. You couldn't have seen a worse performance from the Chargers last week. The Colts were able to go up and down the field the entire game. The Colts ran the ball against the Chargers, but the Vikings don't run it well. In fact, they've been held to under 100 yards rushing in 4 of their last 5 games. The Chargers fell behind early in that game, and it was quick because Indy, never punted. They just kept scoring. So the Chargers had to abandon the run game, and instead they threw the ball 55 times in that game. They did complete 37 of them for 391 yards, but you can't have a split like they had run pass. You don't win in the NFL that way. Carson Wentz will be under center once again, as Kelly said. There was some speculation that J.J. McCarthy might come back. He's been ruled out officially. Probably if this game wasn't on Thursday, he might have had a better chance. But when we look at Carson Wentz and what the Vikings have done, they're 2-2 since he's taken over. They scored 48 points in that first game that he started, but that was against Cincinnati. Since then, 21, and 22 points the last 3 games. I don't see them having success against the Chargers. The Chargers were in a bad spot last week. I guess this team, they look tired with all the travel that they've been having early in the season, especially these couple, East Coast trips that they took in recent weeks. But now they're at home for a second week in a row. I think you see a better performance from the Chargers. They're not as bad as they looked last week. You'll see a better performance here. I'm calling it the Chargers 24-17.
All right, Sunday Night Football. Green Bay is a 3-point road favorite at Pittsburgh, 44.5 VR. And I want to talk about something we talked about off air with our producer, Dan. Everything is pointing for me to take the Packers here. I know it's up to 3.5 now on the odds logic screen, which is significantly different. So let's talk about not only the line move, but Mike Tomlin as a home underdog.
Well, here's the thing. That's a strong trend, but you got to keep in mind it's with different teams. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like he did it with this team. So, I don't worry too much about those things, to be honest with you. A trend like that's not going to scare me off of backing Green Bay when all the data and everything else points to Green Bay. Number one, we look at passing success rate. We talk about the correlation to winning football games. We have Jordan Love, that's top 7 in the NFL. We have an Aaron Rodgers who's below league average. That's correct. He is now below league average in passing success rate. Then we have a Green Bay team That's top 5 power rating on my power ratings. Only 3 teams I have above Green Bay that would be favored over them on a neutral field. Against the Pittsburgh Steelers, I have 16 teams that would be favored over the Steelers on a neutral field. They're not even in my top 15 as far as power rating goes. And when you look at the efficiency of the offense and the defense, here's the bottom line. You have a Green Bay team that's number 7 in offense, number 5 in defense, and that's against the 15th toughest schedule in the NFL. We have a Pittsburgh team that's 16th in offensive efficiency, 20th in defensive efficiency, and they've only had the 26th toughest schedule in the NFL. So that 4-2 record is as phony as it comes, and that's why their point differential is only plus 10. When you look at Green Bay, same 4-1-1, 4-win football team, their point differential is greater than 3x the Pittsburgh Steelers point differential. That's a team that's actually winning football games, not getting lucky, not having an easy schedule. Pittsburgh, the opposite of that. I get it. They're at home. I get it. It's a primetime game. I get it. They're coming off a divisional loss on prime time. All of that. So it should be shaded towards that bias, that negative. But I can't overlook the fact that the Packers keep winning games, but not covering spreads. They're not outperforming the betting market. In fact, they haven't lost a game since the 21st of September, but they haven't covered a game since the 11th of September. So this is a team that's gone an entire month only losing one game and not covering a single game. So they've underperformed against the market. Pittsburgh, the opposite. They've won 3 of the last 4 games, covering 3 of their last 4 games, outperforming the betting market. Why? Because the one game they were a coin flip -1, the other game they were an underdog, and the only legit game was against the bad Cleveland Browns. Fade the Steelers on Sunday night. Green Bay is going to be the public side. We're going to hear that all week, how the books need the Steelers, how the books need the Steelers. It's not going to matter. Lay the points with the Packers.
I am, for one, so happy there is only one Monday night football game this week. Washington plus 10.5 at Kansas City, 47.5. And look, Chiefs, right back where we expected them to be to start the season after winning 2 games in a row, Lions and Raiders in the last 2 weeks in Arrowhead. Now they have a 3rd straight home game and back to being Super Bowl front-running favorites. The problem is being a double-digit spot at home has not been profitable betting the Chiefs. 15-8 against the spread at home was with Patrick Mahomes since 2022. Since 2020, they're 14-24-1 against the spread as a favorite of 7.5 or more. Yes, Jaden Daniels' hamstring injury is built into this line. And look, as of Wednesday afternoon, he's doubtful. That is something as concern to keep in mind here. But we do have to kind of see if Noah Brown, Terry McLaurin, Deebo Samuel, Austin Eckler also play. Because if those guys are back in, this line is going to change. I do think the Chiefs have that defensive ability to bleed the clock and keep this being a low-scoring game. But there's a guy named Bill. I don't really know his real name. I just know we call him Bill. Just kidding. That being said, we have to have him have success on the ground. And he can do that against the Chiefs defense, who has struggled against the rush all season long. They keep the chains moving. They keep Patrick Mahomes on the sideline. That clock keeps running. Guess what? 10.5 becomes much more worthwhile. While I don't think I'm going to actually get to the window on this game, if I'm looking for a 5th, maybe in the Super Contest or one of the Splash Sports contests that I have to pick every game on the board, I'm taking the points here on Monday night. VR every single Sunday. You do a Steam report after last call. It is going to be open this week to Wager Talk Insiders as well. WT.buzz/insiders. $2.99 a month. Get you all the early access for everything Wager Talk YouTube channel related. Let's kind of go in Wednesday afternoon, what you're seeing early in the week. That way we can either confirm it Sunday on Last Call with Ariel Epstein or Sunday before kickoff in the Steam room.
Yep, where the final hour leading in, we go over every single game as much as time permits, sides, totals, props, share as much information as possible. Share those teasers that have done good all year, player props that come in, live bets that come in, and of course, go over risk management, year-to-date results, and I'm there to answer every question. Great asset for bettors. You definitely want to take advantage of the Steam Room. I'm there to answer all your questions. Now, here's some of the stuff we're seeing early. Remember, the look-aheads come out a week prior. Those usually get hit. The market usually settles over the next few days, and then heading into the weekend is when the NFL really starts to ramp up. So pay attention to those line moves Friday night and Saturday while all the attention's on college football. NFL's getting hit. Start off with Cincinnati, the -2.5. Look ahead got hit. Moved it to 4.5. Obviously, went to 5, 5.5, 6. Cincinnati continued to get money, and the over at 42.5, which was the look ahead. But since the adjustment, haven't seen over money. Public's betting it over, but it hasn't been the betting syndicates. A game that got dummied down. First half-point move is down. Remember, talked about it in college football Steam, how the limits are low on screen books when they first post the numbers, and then the credit shops open up with bigger limits, usually getting the right side. And we saw Atlanta get dummied down a half point and then got steamed, laying that 6.5. That's why you're looking at that key number on Atlanta. The opposite happened with New Orleans, where it got dummied up on the favorite half point upwards. And then the New Orleans getting steamed every week, +6, 5.5, 5. So they took the plus with New Orleans, and then Dallas and Denver. Two-way action here because of the look ahead of the +4 that they took on Dallas. But I saw Denver -3 get hit as well. Talk about it all the time, how tight these NFL lines. And when you get to those key numbers, don't be surprised to see two-way sharp action. Also, Dallas-Denver game 279, over 47.5 look ahead, over 47.5 opener, over 48 and 48.5. So legit move on the over Dallas-Denver. And finally, KC and Washington, same situation with the look ahead at 5.5 getting hit. But at 11.5, we did see Washington money come in. So there's a lot of big moves off of that look ahead line. Pay attention what happens after that. If there's follow through, a lot of times you'll even see money come in on the other side, like we're seeing with KC and Washington, because of that 5.5, 6-point adjustment. So,
all right.
No. I'll just say on Sunday on Last Call, we'll update this. And then, of course, in the Steam Room as well.
All right. Perfect. From VR there. And he mentioned the Saints, and Marco likes the Saints for barking dogs. And I just don't know if I can deal with these garbage teams week in and week out again. Last week was, well, I said on opening line report with Teddy covers, you just got to move forward and understand that it was a chalk eating weasel week and hope that we don't see another one of those for the next 10 weeks. That being said, Marco, the Saints, here we go. The Bucs looking red hot. They just got derailed, though, by the Detroit Lions. That offense looked very inept against what was supposed to be a very broken secondary. Talk to me why you think the Bucs have a possibility to lose 2 in a row.
Well, I think it's actually a bad spot for Tampa. The conventional wisdom would be that, hey, they played a good team last week in Detroit, was on Monday Night Football, and now they're stepping way down in class. This is a bounce back spot for them. But really, they're playing back-to-back road games on a short week. You play it on Monday Night Football. Now you got to go back out on the road for a second week. Yeah, you're playing, division rival, so you're familiar with the team. But last week, Tampa fell behind early, and just like we mentioned, in the other game with the Chargers, they had to abandon the running game. They ran the football 12 times and they threw it 50 times. Detroit completely dominated Tampa Bay, and really the 24-9 score could have been a lot worse. To make matters worse for Tampa, they've been decimated with injuries. They suffered more injuries on Monday night. And not only are they playing on the road for the second week in a row, Kelly, they're playing their third road game in 4 weeks. This is a huge negative. Now, we look at the Saints, and yeah, it was an ugly game last week. They lost 26-14. But you know what? They had 4 turnovers. If you turn the football over 4 times, they were -3 in the turnover margin. You're supposed to lose by more than 12 points. They were 1 score away from actually covering the spread in that game. Shane Rattler, yeah, no question, he had an absolutely ugly game. If he can just have a clean game for a change, and I know it's asking a lot, but if he doesn't turn it over 4 times in this game, with all the injuries that Tampa Bay has suffered over the last several weeks, and given their schedule, I think the Saints can hang in here. I think this line is too high for a team that's got as many injuries as Tampa has. And I know Baker Mayfield's had, good season until last week. And it looks too easy for them to get right against a bad team. But this is division home dog. And we talk about buying low and selling high. Right now, the market is about as low as it can be on the Saints. I'm going to go ahead and take what I feel is an inflated number. I think this game's going to go right down to the wire. Give me the Saints plus the points, and you know the drill. Sprinkle a little bit on the Saints.
Spencer Rattler is the most frustrating quarterback I put my money on week to week, not named Justin Fields. Good thing is Justin Fields is no longer the quarterback of the New York Giants New York Jets VR, but yet you're still taking this godforsaken team because let me guess, the Bengals should not be this big of a favorite.
No, I got one job. That's it. I try to place good bets on undervalued teams. And I think that's what we have with the New York Jets, regardless what the wise guys do, regardless what the line movement is. Here's what I know, that the New York Jets, okay, 5 of their 7 losses are by only 1 score. They're a team that's 0-7, and yet their point differential is -54. Cincinnati has won 3 of 7 games. So they're a team that's only 1 game below 500. They have a point differential of -78. So my 0-7 team has a point differential of -54. My 3-win football team has a point differential of -78. I think one of these 2 teams has gotten unlucky, and that's the New York Jets losing these 1-score games. 3 of the wins for Cincinnati, those 3 wins I'm talking about, have been by a combined 7 points. When you're the 32nd best defense in all of the NFL, you have no business giving a touchdown to anybody. That back door is going to stay open the entire game. Regardless of Cincinnati going out there and winning this game by 4 touchdowns or not, this is way, way, way too many points, especially coming off a big primetime win against a divisional rival that you got the job done in the final few minutes of the game in a movie script fashion. And now you got to get up to play the 0-7 New York Jets, and you're laying a touchdown. I don't see it. Jets may get their first win, because until they get their first win, this is going to be a motivated football team. Like, last thing you want to do is go 0-16. Once they get that win off their backs, then they may quit on the season. But a team that hasn't won a single football game yet, rest assured, has something to play for. I like the Jets. Give me 60 minutes of effort, and I think this is a winnable game for them, again, against the 32nd best defense in all of the NFL. The 32nd best defense is given a touchdown. A team with a -78 point differential is given a touchdown to a team with a -54 point differential. Give me the Jets all day, plus that touchdown. Buy the half point up. You're not going to need it if you're taking the 7, but sprinkle that money line all day.
All right, VR, should we be concerned about the Bengals in teasers?
You don't use it. Definitely don't use it. Unless it's 7.5, don't use that teaser. Right. I really wouldn't. Again, we know in the NFL, pick the winner, you're going to cash tickets more times than not. And that's why you can't be afraid to bet the money line on these dogs. We see it every single week where the better team loses. There's just that much randomness that happens in 60 minutes. So, I just don't have the confidence betting money line favorites in the NFL that I do even in other sports, because of the fact we just see it every single week. So yeah, I know Cincy will be the number 1 teaser for sure. It'll be up there with with Philadelphia over the Giants. That'll be a big one as well.
Bills,
But
probably.
I don't think it's a good teaser. If you like
Okay.
Cincy, lay the 6.5.
Another one I think people are going to want to tease is the New England Patriots, but I like the Browns catching a touchdown here on the road. Hey, no disrespect to the Patriots, off nice back-to-back wins, except for those wins were, well, road wins were over the Saints and the Titans. So, yes, that offense is clicking on all cylinders, but this is the best defense they will have faced over the last month. And Browns defense, number 3 in EPA per play, number 3 in success rate, number 2 in rushing success rate. I'm going to keep this short and sweet. I think the Patriots probably can win this football game. I know a lot of people are going to want to use them in Survivor. I know a lot of people are going to want to tease them, but be wary. Dylan Gabriel is efficient enough to go in and get the win for the Browns. 7 points is too many. Do I think the Browns are worth the money line sprinkle? Of course I do. Marco D'Angelo, the Deli, not only here on this show, but you do a specialty, Deli segment on the Mega Show, as well as standalone on the Wager Talk YouTube channel. Let everybody know what that is, what they're getting every week, and how well it's been doing.
Well, I always have a ton of games that I look at, and we're trying to decide what's going to be, make the Deli segment. Is it going to be a sandwich game? Is it going to be a trap game? And what I've done, we did it last year. It was a huge success. We brought it back this year. It's Marco's Deli. It comes out every Thursday. You'll see that late afternoon, early evening as a standalone version. And then you'll also see it in the Mega Show that we do for Bet On It. You'll get 5 more plays. I've been doing 4 college, 1 NFL, 7 episodes. We've had 5 winning weeks, 1 losing week, and 1 break-even week. 21-13 on the season. That's like 62%, 61.7 to be exact. And the NFL plays 6-1 on the season. We give you 4 college, 1 NFL has been the formula so far. So check that out this Thursday. And Kelly, this week, the Deli's bringing a trap game. And I'll be honest with you, I was between 2 games for the trap game. It was going to be the one I'm going to give you, or it was going to be VR's New York Jets. But you know what? I couldn't pull the trigger on the Jets on this show because I didn't want to be talking. And I know you do a show with John Murray on Thursdays. I do a show with John Murray on Fridays. And every week he tells me the same thing. He goes, I don't know who these sharps are, but every week they're betting the Jets. And I just didn't want to be included in that. But I agree with the Jets as well. But my trap game, we're going to take a look at San Francisco at Houston. And I got to ask you questions, and this is why I think this is a trap game. When I say to you that the 5-2 49ers are playing the 2-4 Houston Texans, and I tell you, just pick the winner, you're going to say San Francisco. When I say San Francisco won last week, 20-10, while Houston lost 27-19, and Houston has 1 less day of rest because they played on Monday, and I say, just pick the winner, you're going to say San Francisco. If I also say to you, do the old ABC thing, common opponent, Houston lost to Seattle last week. San Francisco beat Seattle earlier in the year, and now they're playing one another. Pick the winner. You're going to answer San Francisco again. And if I say, who is the best player on either team that's going to be on the field on Sunday? You're going to answer, well, that's San Francisco's Christian McCaffrey. All those questions say San Francisco, and it's pick the winner. And this line's just sitting there at 1.5. That, my friends, is why I call this a trap game. When it looks that damn easy to take a team, when the spread is like this, everything says one side. I ain't buying it. This is also a non-conference road game for the 49ers. How many times did I tell you the least important game on a team's schedule every year is a non-conference road game as far as tiebreakers go? And for San Francisco, this is going to be their 3rd road game in 4 weeks. That's a huge negative for any team, especially a team that's been decimated by injuries the way they have. Now, last week, they were able to get by losing Fred Warner. That was probably the most catastrophic injury that they've suffered in the last few weeks. That was the first game without him, and they were facing, an Atlanta team with a young quarterback in Michael Penix Jr. Different story this week, and I have just beat up CJ Stroud on the way he has regressed since his rookie season. But this is a week against this defense that I think he can have some success. He should be able to throw the ball against the 49ers and tuck the ball and run a few times. Make some plays with your legs. You're going to have opportunities this week. I'm going to go ahead and take Houston in here. And as bad as Houston has played offensively this year, you cannot fault their defense. Their defense has been solid all year. They've held 5 of their 6 opponents to 20 points or fewer. I think this is almost a must-win game for Houston. They get it done at home. Let's go ahead and take the Texans. Lay that 1.5. I've got them winning this one 27-17.
All right, let's get into some of those best bets. VR, you're giving us out a total this week.
No.
Let me know why you like the under there in Philadelphia, because I leaned the Eagles initially to start the week. I may end up teasing that team. We'll get into that here in a little bit. But let me know also what you got going on over at wagertalk.com.
Oh, yeah. Coming off a losing week in the NFL. Very rare in the regular season. I think I won pretty much every single week. So the bounce back is coming. You know what we did in college football last week after the previous losing week, first one in college football. So my NFL package will be up. A lot of 4% plays. We went 8-1 in those 2 weeks ago. I think we split last week or lost 1 or 2 more than we won. But those have been good all year. If I could upgrade something to a 5, that's what we'll do. But I do have a 5% in college this week instead. And in the NFL, on bet on it, we're transparent. I'm 13-7-1 in the NFL, 14-2-1 on dogs, 4-3 on best bets, 5-2 on TV bets. So up on all 3, 19-5 in college football. So that's a combined 32-12-1 on both betting shows, over 70%. That's what you're getting. We're going under here to add another winner there, under 44 or better. Eagles and Giants. First of all, you have 2 quarterbacks that are below league average when it comes to passing success rate. We like that when we're betting the under. Number 2, we have a lot of recency bias. Giants come in, haven't scored 30-plus points in back-to-back games. We have the Eagles, who have scored 28-plus in 3 of their last 5, allowed 25-plus in 3 of their last 5. Ton of recency bias there. But the market's already accounted for it. It's already adjusted. It's like knowing it's going to rain after the line is adjusted for the rain does nothing for us. Knowing it's going to be 20-mile-an-hour winds when the total goes from 40 down to 32.5 does nothing for us, knowing that the wind's going to be blowing at 32.5. If you got it at 40, it's a different story. And that's what's happening here, because when you look at the New York Giants, they've had zero totals in their games this year above 42. You got to go back to early September to find a total that was above 42 in a Giants game. You look at the Eagles, you got to go back to week 2 to find a total that's lined above 44.5. So they've made the adjustment. In fact, when you look at the series between these 2 teams, you look at the last 5 years, and not even the opening line, the closing line, okay? The average on the matchup was 40.4 points. So they have adjusted. They've adjusted well over a field goal off what it should be. That's the kind of value we want. And I think the X's and O's set up nicely as well, especially when you look at the Eagles, who are the 8th most efficient defense. Giants are going to have to show up defensively because that's somewhere where they're weak, but they're weak offensively as well. As long as they could contain the Eagles and limit them, I think they should just be fine. It's a divisional game. You'll get effort the whole 60 minutes. Go under 44, best bet of the week.
All right, Marco D'Angelo. We have a couple of different specials over on the Wager Talk homepage. Weekend Warrior. We've got $500 off right now on a yearly package, making it less than $125 a month. Tell me what you think the best special is for our audience, and then tell me what your best bet is for this week.
Well, Kelly, we've got a site-wide special. There's 10 weeks left on 2025. You can get the remainder of 2025, any capper of your choice, just $590. That's a tremendous savings, and it's going to get you not only just football, it's going to get you NBA started last night. You've got hockey in full swing. In a couple weeks, we're going to have college basketball. Every sport is going to be running. And, oh, yeah, you got the World Series starting on Friday as well. Pick up every play from your favorite capper for the rest of 2025 for just $590. That's like $8 per day, $59 per week. It's a tremendous savings for you. You know, we have the Weekend Warrior. The Weekend Warrior is a deal in itself at $49, but that gets you just football, gets you all the football for the weekend. With this $590 package, you're getting everything for the rest of the season for $59 a week. $10 more, you're getting 7 days instead of just the weekend, and you're getting every play in every sport from your favorite handicapper. So check that out at Wager Talk. We've got a big week planned. It's bounce back week. I said at the top of the show, we had a rough Sunday, had a good Saturday once again. 4% and higher plays in college football are 11-4 for the season. We've got a couple loaded already for Saturday, so check it out. The Sunday card we haven't finalized yet, but we'll have some big action there in bounce back week. And for our best bet, Kelly, you know, I watched it last week. I was there at the Westgate. I saw it, and I still don't believe what I saw. The Denver Broncos putting up 33 points in the fourth quarter. That's not the part of the game that surprised me, that they exploded for 33 points in the fourth quarter. What surprised me is when they battled all the way back. They were down 19-0 entering the fourth quarter. When they battled back to finally get their first lead in the game at 30-26 with just 1:51 left, you thought, okay, there you go. They've got the game. The Giants blew this game. Denver came back. They're the winner, only to see the Giants go back down the field and score the game go-ahead TD with 40 seconds left. I've been watching football for 4.5 decades, Kelly, in this business, and teams don't come back after they blew a lead from coming from the grave the way Denver did. The fact that Denver went down the field, found a way to get that game-winning field goal and win the game at the end was truly amazing on their part. And let's give Denver credit. They've had a tough schedule. They had to go to London. They didn't have a bye week. They had to play back-to-back weeks on the road, went to the East Coast 2 weeks ago and played, and then had to go and play in London last week and travel back. They look like a tired team. This is a proud Denver defense that their numbers say they are much better than what they did last week. And I think the fatigue came into play in that game. And once the Giants had that early lead and they had to keep attacking, playing from behind, you saw the crazy score that we saw. This defense will show up this week. And they're going to be playing a team, speaking of defenses, that absolutely does not have one. Yes, I know when you watch the Dallas Cowboys, they can score from anywhere on the field. I get that, but they're going against an elite defense. And I am saying elite defense, even though they gave up as many points as they did last week, did Denver. I'm going to say the fatigue was more of the issue. Now they're home for a second week. You'll see the Denver defense that we're accustomed to, and we're going to see the Denver offense that has to be brimming with confidence after the way they came back. Rode Bo Nix. He's looked good at times this year, and he's looked like a quarterback that's suffering a sophomore jinx in his second year at times as well. But bringing his team back down the field and getting them in position to win that game last week has to give him confidence. And when you see teams win a game that they probably shouldn't have won, that's how you start winning streaks. And I think you're going to see that with the Broncos. So I'm going to go ahead and lay the points with Denver as my best bet. And I think they roll through this Dallas defense on Sunday. Let's go ahead and take Denver 31-23.
After giving out my best bet in the college show, I knew you guys were going to call me a homer. And that's why I gave Marco the Denver Broncos this week, because I didn't want to get called a homer in both shows. But Marco, I agree with you. I like Denver here laying the points as well. And I just had to change my best bet because I'm over here on social media. I'm seeing Lamar Jackson getting food at 3:00 in the morning from a food truck in Florida. I don't know if he's going to be a go this week. I know it's only Wednesday afternoon, but those kind of things do start to scare me, especially when I'm giving you guys the best bet. I want to be able to give you guys the best of the information as well as the best of the number. And I don't feel like I can do that as it stands right now with the Ravens. And that is kind of crappy. So we're going to punt the Ravens until we get a little bit more information here. There was a really great tweet from John Ewing regarding them, but we're going to pivot. We're going to go Carolina plus 7.5. Yes, I know the Buffalo Bills cannot possibly lose 3 straight with Josh Allen, and they're 7-0 straight up off a bye. But I'm just saying you guys should be a little wary of the team that is 4-2 straight up and 2-4 against the spread. This defense has slipped up a little bit lately, given 350 yards up to guys named Drake May. Carolina 5-2 against the spread after a really ugly win over the Jets. And yes, keep an eye on Bryce Young. Now, I will say, I was just reading on the internet. Dr. Chow said this is not a traditional high ankle sprain. Dave Canales says if Bryce Young is available, he will go. And if he's not, they do still have a guy named Andy Dalton who can be serviceable enough to keep this within the touchdown. Bills, guess what? Those 4 wins that they do have against teams with a combined record of 3-21. Again, Carolina kind of rocking and rolling. They've won 3 in a row here. If you guys remember, I was high on them to win the NFC South this year. I wanted a longer shot that wasn't named the Bucks, and I think Carolina still has an opportunity to give that Bucks team a run for their money in this division. Give me Carolina plus 7.5. Be careful of Buffalo and teasers. Be careful of Buffalo and Survivor, because I think Carolina can get this win here at home. Shout out to all of you guys for hanging out with us here on Bet On It. From myself, Marco D'Angelo, Gianni the Greek. We're going to put up that recap graphic for all of you. And of course, if you guys missed that college football edition of Bet On It, it's going to be posted on the Wager Talk YouTube channel here this afternoon, but Dan is not changing the slides, so I can't point to it. Maybe he fell off a cliff. There it is. Thanks, Dan, for being so attentive. It's like he's only running 4 other shows in the background while we record Bet On It. If you guys are looking for the college football edition of Bet On It, it is right here. If you guys are looking for that mega show with all of the added trends, angles, Deli, and so forth, don't miss another episode right here on the Wager Talk YouTube channel. Till next week, let's bet on it.
Make sure you stick around to this end of this video. My 4 NFL systems: 73% ATS, 75%, 77%, and how about a system that is 94% against the spread? I am Ralph Michaels. This is the Wager Talk Bet On It TNA segment. TNA, trends and angles. We're going to break down division teams with double revenge from the previous season. We're going to look at teams off a shutout win and off a shutout loss. We'll finish this off with 4 super NFL systems. Let's get right to it. And let's start with NFL teams playing with double revenge. Now, I'll go on a little bit of a rant. I don't like saying double revenge, but viewers are so accustomed to hearing it that for this video, I'm going to say double revenge. But if you're a team and you were an underdog in both games, that is not legitimate revenge. That just means the other team deserved to win. They were the favorite in both games. They won both games. So yes, you got swept. But does that truly give you double revenge? Let's look at the numbers and see how they pan out. I went back the last 10 years. Our first chart shows that. On the top, these are NFL division teams that lost both meetings the previous year. So this is the first game of the next season. If you blindly bet every NFL team that lost both games of their division foe, guess what? You're only 96 and 117 against the spread. That is 45.1%. If you lost both games last year and in the first meeting this year, you're a home favorite. How about 13 and 29, 31%? Home favorites are bad. Take a look at away favorites. It's only happened 17 times. Teams that lost both games last year and in the first meeting, they're an away favorite. 5 wins, 11 losses, and a push, 31%. So basically, it's safe to say, if you lost both meetings the previous year and you're a favorite in game one, be it home favorite or away favorite, you were only 31% against the spread or a 69% fade. You see that if you lost both meetings and you're an away dog in the first meeting, you're actually just above the Mendoza line at 53.4%. But take a look in a shaded light orange peach color there. If the first game of the new season and you lost the last game as a favorite, you're only 34.5%. If you lost both games the previous year as a favorite, you're only 5 and 10, 33%. So the top half of the chart is first meeting of this season after losing both games last year. The bottom of the chart, that is, you lost both meetings last year, the first game of this season, and this is now the second meeting for 2025. So you're playing a team for the second time, and you've lost each of the last 3 games. Not as bad as the top number. You see they're still on a negative side, 62 and 69, 47.3%. But again, look at those home favorite and away favorite numbers, both in red. Haven't been many away favorites, guys. Only 9 times has a team lost 3 straight and been an away favorite. They've only gone 33% ATS. But at home, 23 games. Those teams that have lost 3 straight and are now a home favorite, 6 ATS wins, 17 ATS losses, 26.1%. Home dogs, you're fine. You've gone 56.1%. Away dogs, right about the break-even point. So clearly, better situation if you're playing after 3 straight losses when you're a dog, because as a favorite, you have gone just 27% ATS in the last 10 years. Second situation I want to look at. Teams off a shutout loss and off a shutout win. So you see the chart on the left are those teams off a shutout loss, like Las Vegas. The teams on the right off a shutout win, like Kansas City. Well, teams get embarrassed in the NFL when they're off a shutout loss. They take it to heart, to the tune of 66% against the spread. While Las Vegas is in a bye this week, remember that next week, teams off a shutout loss in the NFL, 33, 17, and 2, 66% against the spread. If they're a home favorite off a shutout loss, it's the only negative situation, 44%. But home dogs off a shutout loss, 77% against the spread. Away favorites off a shutout loss, 67% against the spread. And away dogs off a shutout loss, 65% ATS. Folks, circle that. Mark it down. Keep it where you keep your betting notes. It's a strong system that teams are embarrassed when they get shut out, and all but being a home favorite has benefited. And take a look at the home favorite. It doesn't happen very often. Only 1 game under 500, 4 wins and 5 ATS losses. Now let's take a look at teams like Kansas City off a shutout win. Well, 50% the game after a shutout win. Doesn't do them any good, doesn't hurt them. As a home favorite, a little on the plus side, 12 and 9 with 1 ATS push, 57%. As a home dog and as an away favorite, you see they're both red, but look at the sample sizes, folks. Very small sample sizes, only 5 games and 8 games. And teams as an away dog off a shutout win, 9, 9, and 1, 50% against the spread. Before I get to these four systems, including a 94% situation, I want to tell you about a very special offer. 2 great football seasons back to back. Number 2, college football and NFL since the start of 2024. I am going to talk more about college football this week because I will have my first college football 5% in a month. My college football run, 10-0, 10 straight college football winners. Also 37 and 15, 71%. My college football best bets, those plays rated 4% and 5%, 18 and 6, 75%. Number 1 in NFL and college football best bets since the start of the 2024 football season. And again, as I said, first college football 5% in a month. Those 5%, 9 and 2, 82%. Now the Weekend Warrior has been a great deal. You basically get all my college football on Saturday and all my Sunday NFL for $49 a week. But we know the NHL has started. I had my first winner on Monday night. We know the NBA tips off Tuesday night. Today is Tuesday as I film this. College basketball in 2 weeks. It gets started. I've got a very special offer for you, a 30-day all sport, all access, normally $299. I'm going to knock off $100. You can get 30 days for $199. Go to my homepage at Wager Talk, wt.buzz/RM. Purchase the 30-day all access. It'll show the price of $299, but write down this coupon code under 7. UNDER, the number 7, no spaces, and you'll get that 30-day all access for $199 or under $7 a day. And please hit that like button. If you've watched these videos, you like these trends and angles, it gave you maybe just one extra winner on the season. We're not looking to get rich. We're looking to have a profitable football season and be one of those rare people that finish on the plus side. You could do that with my 30-day all access package. Hit that like button and make sure you're following Wager Talk on Wager Talk TV, on TikTok, on Instagram, on Twitter. Over 300,000 people follow Wager Talk amongst their social media networks. You should as well. And again, when you hit that like button, if there's anything you want to see here on these segments, leave a comment. Something you hate, leave a comment. Something you like, any comment, folks, we love. We learn from them. We make better videos because of you. And it helps our algorithms and allows us to continue to do all this great free content among all the Wager Talk social media networks. Well, let's get to these 4 systems. First, Denver had a historic comeback. I believe no team that was shut out the first 3 quarters of a game scored more than either 20 or 24 points in the history of the NFL. Denver scored 34. So when teams have to make such a dramatic comeback, what's the results? Likely, it's exactly what you expect. When teams are an underdog or a favorite up to -5, they are off a win, but they trailed by 10 or more points after the third quarter, like the Denver Broncos did. Those teams against the spread are 12 and 36, 25%. How about teams? On Thursday, we know Thursday night football is by far the most meaningful night of football. The standalone day. It's start of the week of football. You have everyone's attention. Sunday has a lot of big games, but it's not a true standalone because people have been watching football all day. And Monday is a lot of the crappy teams, let's be honest. So when you have a Thursday night favorite, off a loss as a favorite with a total of 42 or higher, like the LA Chargers this week. The Colts took it to them last week. Can they respond? The database tells us yes. Those Thursday night favorites off a loss as a favorite with a total of 42 or more, 34, 10, and 2, 77% against the spread. Folks, I misspoke. I said 73 and 75. I'm wrong. My last two systems, 86% and 94%. Let's get to it. They are both for Monday night. Again, I was shocked when these systems popped up, and both are on the same game. So, Monday night teams, off and away loss that allowed 23 points or more, and now have a total between 43 and 50. So we're in the majority of the NFL games. We're taking out the very low totals. We're taking out those very high totals. Washington is off and away loss. They allowed over 23 points, and the total falls in this category. They, of course, playing Kansas City on Monday night. Listen to this over-under record. 7 overs, 43 unders, and 2 pushes. That is 86% to the under. Let's take a look what happens this Monday night between the Commodores and the Chiefs. And finally, a very small sample size, but worth mentioning because I wanted to share the data. Since 1989, this has happened only 18 times. In our second segment, when I had the chart, we talked about Kansas City being off a shutout win. Well, since 1989, only 18 previous teams pitched a shutout and allowed under 100 yards. Happens less than once a year. It happened this past week, and those teams like the Kansas City Chiefs the next week have gone 16, 1-1, 94% against the spread. Hopefully these systems and charts get you at least one more winner this week. Hit that like button, leave a comment, and make sure you check out my special 30-day all access. Save $100, pay under $7 a day. The code under 7, UNDER, the number 7, no spaces. Follow me on Twitter for more TNA. This is Ralph Michaels, thanking you for taking time out of your busy day to tune into this video. Have a great football weekend, and hopefully the ball bounces your way.
There's only one team in the NFL that has covered only 1 point spread this season. That team, the Baltimore Ravens. Right now, coming out of their bye week with Lamar likely to play on Sunday, it looks to me to be an optimal time to buy Baltimore. Let's not forget who they faced so far. They faced the Bills, the Chiefs, the Lions, and the Rams. That's 4 top-notch teams in 6 games. The other 2 games, they faced the Texans and the Browns, both of whom have top 5 defenses. So they faced elite team or elite defense in every game so far this season. That's not necessarily going to be the case moving forward. We got Lamar Jackson back at practice. We got a bunch of guys coming back after the bye week. Whether it's Roquan Smith or Chidibe Awuzie, doesn't matter. And their stats aren't insane. They're okay, but they're not elite. 4.5 yards per rush allowed, that's middle of the pack. 6.8 yards per pass allowed, that's actually worse than middle of the pack. But we remember who they faced. And of course, the offense, number 2 in the NFL in yards per rush, 5.3. Number 10 in yards per play at 7.6. So the offense has been fine even without Jackson. The defense is primed to get better now that they're stepping down in class and they're getting guys back from injury. And boy, this schedule eases up a lot. Bears, Dolphins, Vikings, Browns, Jets, Bengals, their next 6 ball games. And let's not forget, with Lamar Jackson, they played 700 football. 74-32 since 2018. Without Jackson, they played 250 football, 4-12 during that same span. And it goes from averaging 28 points to averaging 15 points. So obviously Lamar is huge. But the quotes coming out of the locker room, Marlon Humphrey, veteran leader, quote, everyone in our room is definitely still in the mindset that we can still do it and believe that we can. Ravens' chance of making the playoffs are what, a quarter after this slow start. But the optimism is there. And the reason we're buying Baltimore now, before they play Chicago, there's two ways to make money with this concept. First, if they lose this week against Chicago, the markets are finally going to crash on the Ravens, and they may well be an undervalued commodity moving forward. And if they win this week, they're primed to start rolling. So now's the time. Let's buy Baltimore. Best of luck with all your bets this weekend.
It's week 9 in college football. We've got 3 top 25 games for you guys. Some barking dogs, best bets. The Deli, 21-13 on the season, should be back open. And of course, we've got that Steam report with Gianni the Greek coming up next on Bet on It. Kelly Stewart here, aka Kelly in Vegas, Marco D'Angelo, and Gianni the Greek back from Vancouver. What a great UFC card that was. We're going to get right into these top 25 games, and I got to go first. 12 p.m. Eastern, number 8, Mississippi, catching 5 at number 13, Oklahoma, total 54.5. If you guys remember, I took South Carolina last week and was not the greatest performance. I thought maybe that Texas Ole Miss sandwich might be just a little too much for Oklahoma, but they got the job done thanks to South Carolina's offensive coordinator, Mike Shula. Anyway, I digress. Also, John Mateer, hey, he looked a little bit better last week because he didn't throw 3 interceptions like he did versus Texas. Oklahoma, I will say, all games this year have stayed under the total. And that is because of this Sooners defense allowing just an average of 9.4 points per game, 28 sacks on the season. And I think you guys kind of understand where I'm going here. As much as I love Ole Miss, and as much as every year we think Ole Miss is different, right now, Lane Kiffin, currently the front runner to be the next head coach at the University of Florida. I got to give a little bit of credit to the Rebs last week. Their defense played tough, but they were on the field for 80 plays in that high-scoring loss to the Bulldogs, which they ultimately did not get the cover, 43-35. That was a tough one. Now they're going early kick to Norman. I think this is going to be too much for this team. One loss isn't debilitating in the 12-team college football playoff for either one of these guys, but man, I think Ole Miss going into a tough environment cannot be trusted here in this spot. Give me the Sooners plus the points. 3:30 p.m. Eastern, number 15, Missouri, catching 2.5 at number 10, Vanderbilt, 52.5, Marco. Diego Pavia, looking like maybe everybody wants to give him the Heisman. Talk to me about this one.
Yeah, both teams come in at 6-1, Kelly, and who would have thought that Missouri and Vanderbilt in the SEC sitting at 6-1, and both are coming off bounce back wins last week as each suffered their first loss in their previous game. Ironically, that first loss for these two teams both came against the same team, Alabama. Vandy's been the bigger surprise to me sitting at 6-1. They've got an offense, Kelly, that's the real deal. They're scoring 31 or more points in every game but one this season. But I got to look at the scheduling spot here. After playing Alabama and LSU in back-to-back weeks and having Texas on deck, you know what that kind of makes this game. Yeah, that is a big sandwich spot. Even though they're playing another ranked team, when you say the teams that I just said, Alabama, LSU, and Texas, those are all the blue bloods of college football. Missouri's not there yet. I think this is a bad spot for them. And then I look at this Missouri team. They were able to come from behind and beat Auburn in overtime last week. Missouri came out flat like I thought they would. Full disclosure, I had Auburn in that game last week. It was a client play. And, after the gut-wrenching loss to Alabama. I didn't think they would play their best last week, and they didn't, but they still found a way to win that game. When teams do that, that tells me they're a very good team whenever they can weather the storm early and find a way to win it late. Missouri allows just 17 points a game on average. Give me the better defense, getting points. You know the drill. Against a team in a bad scheduling spot, yeah, I'll go with Missouri, 27-23. Let's call it with the Missouri Tigers.
All right, and the late night special, at least here on the East Coast, 7:30 p.m. Eastern. Number 3, Texas A&M headed to LSU as a 2.5-point favorite, 47.5. VR, you have been crushing these top 25 games. I don't think you've missed one all season long. Give me the winner here in Death Valley.
Yeah, and real quickly, right now, 19-5 on the Bet On It college football, 6-2 on the dogs, 5-3 on best bets, 8-0 on the TV games. Getting a lot of pushback when I go against some of these undefeated teams. Even being called out, do I even watch college football when I talked about Texas being better than Oklahoma, when I talked about Texas Tech giving too many points? I trust my power ratings. That's the bottom line. I'm not going to waste your time talking a handicap and X's and O's and player names and all that nonsense. Here's the bottom line on why I like LSU. The same reason I'm up over 100 units in college football and sitting at number 1 in profit, and why we won 9 of the 10 weeks. It's because some of these teams are ranked based on nothing more than their record. But you got to look at strength of schedule. And here's what I'm talking about. Texas A&M is ranked the number 3 team in the country. They're not even in my top 10 power rating wise. So as of right now, I could name 11, 12 teams that would be favored over Texas A&M on a neutral field. That's the bottom line. It's simply taking advantage of an inefficient number that's based on the market narrative of Texas A&M being undefeated is the much better team. But I'll take the defense of LSU, which is top 10 in efficiency. I'll take the fact that LSU is a top 15 team and barely in the top 20 as far as rankings go. And I'll fade this Texas A&M team that's not even in my top 10, and yet they're ranked number 3. That's the handicap right now. Overvalued versus undervalued, overranked versus underranked. It doesn't get any simpler than that. We're going to take LSU. It's going to be a public side, rest assured. LSU catching points at home where they're undefeated will be a public side. I'm not afraid of that. Give me LSU. We'll take the points. Of course, they're going to win the game on the money line, but I like LSU. I like LSU.
All right, plus 125 there on the money line here on Wednesday afternoon. VR, we're going to kick it right back to you because we got to go into the steam. Now, on Saturday mornings, this is the college football show. You join me and you give me all of that last-minute college football steam. Let's hear what you guys are seeing early in the week, and we'll keep an eye on it between now and Saturday.
Because there's so much, what I'm trying to do is I narrowed down the top more legit moves as of Wednesday. That's what I'm going to start doing. And we're going to stick to sides because there's a lot of manipulation, a lot of middles with the totals. I already shared that the totals get officially hit on Thursdays. So if you watch your odds logic screen tomorrow, you'll get all the information you need there. You should have your leans already lined up. Once you start seeing the move in your direction, don't wait, fire. That's what I do. Now, no weekday games. We're going to start right into Saturday. I had to take a shower right before the show. Sorry, I didn't have time to do the hair yet. But see, it's real. It's real. Here we go. Start off 121 Akron. Here's what I like. We saw a lot of things get dummied down. They got dummied. Cal, I've been called out on the chat that this isn't real. This beautiful rocks aren't my own. And I'm even insecure that it's
so glad I keep myself muted when I'm not on screen.
I'm being
just
called
heard
out
me
that
howl.
this isn't mine. How? And I'm insecure.
VR's had hair since I've known him. I've known him probably 15 years now.
In your 50s, if you find yourself with this kind of hair, you should be very, very lucky and grateful. So let's get back to college football steam. Marco made it easy. He's had it easy for years. That's the smartest move. That's the smartest move. Johnny Detroit. All right. Now we saw a couple games. This is what I like when they get dummied down. Remember, the limits are very low when they first open up. Not all the books even put up lines till the next day. So those that have the guts to start a market, they take small limits because, you know, they don't have the confidence in their numbers early on. And we saw that happen with Akron. That got dummied up and then bam, hit Akron plus 11, Akron plus 10.5, Akron plus 10. Same thing happened with Baylor, where the first move looked like to the favorite, half-point move upwards. Then that's when you saw the Baylor money come in at plus 6, plus 5.5, plus 5 in the credit accounts where the limits are higher. On screen, they're nickels. Credit accounts, it's what you set up with each book. Move down to 141, NC State, plus 7.5, plus 7, key numbers there. 151, Ohio, minus 10.5, minus 11. I don't like that move. I actually like the dog there, hoping to get dummied up a lot more. Hopefully I could get 14 there. Don't know if it's going to happen. 164, ODU, minus 13.5. 166, Iowa, minus 7.5, minus 8, minus 8.5. Already seeing public money the other way. 172, New Mexico, minus the 2, minus the 2.5. Same thing with San Diego State. That's why it's up to those key numbers. San Diego State, minus 2, minus 2.5. And finally, another one I disagree with, Navy, minus the 14. I actually like the dog there and did see a little dog money when it got up to that 16, 16.5 range, I believe. I was hoping to get 17, didn't get there yet. Still have time between now and Saturday. But that's what we're getting so far. Again, I'll be on last call Saturday to give you the updated college football information.
Okay, now that was a fun segment, let's get into my favorite segment, which is those barking dogs. Marco, you have the biggest dog this week, so you get to go first.
All right, Kelly, and we're going to take a look at Rice plus 10.5 at Connecticut. This is one of those ones. It's a bad scheduling spot for Connecticut. They're coming off a big win over Boston College last week. Now, even though Boston College is having a down year, for Connecticut to beat Boston College, that's a huge win for them. Boston College is a team that's less than an hour and a half away from them. They recruit against them. This is one of those, you know, big brother versus little brother. And little brother Connecticut beat the shit out of Boston College big brother last week. So that puts Connecticut on fat and sassy alert for me. Then you look at Connecticut, and this is a team that they put up a lot of points, but they don't play good defense, especially against the run. Connecticut has allowed 4 of their last 5 opponents to rush for 176 or more yards against them. Well, guess what? The one thing that Rice does, and they do it well, that's right, they run the football. They're averaging 215 yards per game on the ground. That means you got a fat and sassy team in a bad scheduling spot going against a team that does what they do worst, the best. That means Rice is going to control the line of scrimmage and time of possession. And that's exactly what you want with an underdog getting points. That's going to control time of possession. I'm taking Rice in here. I'm taking the points. And yeah, we're going to go for the sprinkle. Let's call it 28-27. Rice comes out with the victory.
Rice. I know that was on everybody's radar this week, but that's the best part about the show. We bring you guys games that you wouldn't even normally be looking at. VR, I know we talked about this one during the TV game with Marco, but you guys are on the same side, so I let it slide because I am not a Missouri believer. I am not drinking the Drinkowitz tea, but both of you guys are. So I'm going to let you have Missouri plus 2.5, even though it's a little teeny tiny dog.
Thank you. And the reason I used it, Kel, honestly, is because I really, really like it. It's a really, really strong play. Otherwise, like I said, I like anti-Navy and anti-Ohio. Both of those I was looking to fade, even though there was sharp money on Navy and sharp money on Ohio. I think they're phony moves, and I actually like the dog in those. I was going to use one of those, but this is a lot stronger. This actually, I released to subscribers as a premium bet of 4%. Because I really do think the wrong team's favored there. I said it. I got that out of the way. Bottom line is this. Vandy right now is the 10th ranked team in the nation. They're just cracked my top 30 power rating wise. Missouri ranked 15th right now in the country. I got them at 16. So they're right where they should be ranked. It's the overvalued Vandy team that we're going to take advantage of. Both have comparable strengths of schedule. But when you look at the Missouri side, I like that they're coming off a nice win against Auburn on the road. Because it's a back-to-back road games, that price is a lot higher than it should be. That's definitely factored into this number. That's the narrative. It's very hard, obviously, in the SEC to win road games, let alone back-to-back road games. And on the flip side of that, you have the recency bias of a Vanderbilt team that's coming off a big, big win against LSU. That was huge for them. And also, they've been outperforming the betting market. But you've seen over the last 3 games, it's starting to catch up with them. This is a team that was a dog their first game of the season, a dog their second game of the season, a dog their third game of the season. All of a sudden, the market starts to correct itself. They're now in the favorites role. I think the wrong side's favored. Everything as far as power rating wise leans me on Missouri. I also like that they have the better defense, the 20th most efficient defense against the 50th most efficient defense. And on the offensive side of the ball, you have the 17th most efficient for Vanderbilt versus the 15th most efficient for Missouri. So they are more efficient on both sides of the ball. Stronger power rated team. The negative, again, is it's a back-to-back road games, but I think they'll do just fine. Take the 2.5. We're not going to need it. Missouri's the side there. Obviously, if you're betting it plus the points, take it up to +3, up to -126. If you have to lay more than 126 to take a +2.5 to +3, you don't do it. You take the +2.5 at -110. It's a better bet than +3, -127, -130, -135. So there you go. Mizzou on Saturday.
Looking at the odds logic screen right now, VR, do you think the +130 might be a better bet for them to win the game outright?
Yes, absolutely. I would take the +130 before the 2.5 at -110. Great question. Yeah, definitely like the plus money. Because you got to remember, you're laying the 2.5, you're laying -110 on top of it. So compared to getting +130, that's like a 40-cent swing. That's 40 cents on every dollar, that you're betting. That adds up. You're betting a nickel. That's a $200 difference. So yeah, I definitely money line it compared to laying the 110.
All right, guys, if you are not a Wager Talk insider yet, let me tell you about it. WT.buzz/insiders. We're going to give you early access to everything Wager Talk, particularly here on the Wager Talk YouTube channel. Just $2.99 a month gets you early access to things like Bet On It, gets you free access to premium subscriber-only events like VR Steam Room. WT.buzz/insiders. Look, I had 4, maybe 5 dogs that I considered for this segment. And I went with Houston. Look, hand up. Last week, I was very frustrated with Mississippi State. And that's why I'm not using them in this spot this week, because they had opportunities to win that football game and they let us down. So I want a team that is going to go in as an underdog and get us the outright win, because that is the whole point of the Barking Dog segment. And that team this week is Houston. Yep, that's right. VR gave you guys Arizona State as the Barking Dog last week. He and I agreed there. I used him in my parlay. And guess what? 26-22, they got the home win over Texas Tech as a 7.5-point underdog. Now this week, they're on upset alert as a 7.5-point favorite. Houston held off Arizona State's little brother last week, and sitting in the Big 12 with just 1 loss. They're now 6-1 overall, 5-2 against the spread. Their only loss is to Texas Tech. And Marco tells you fake handicapper math all the time. Well, this team lost to this team, and this team beat that team. So A plus B might equal C. That's not exactly how it works here, boys and girls. I think there is too many points for 2 teams who have not met since 1990, right? Arizona State new to the Big 12. And keep in mind, this Houston team has made leaps and bounds. Yes, Arizona State only lost to Utah when Sam Leavitt was out. But if Sam Leavitt is good as we think, right now, 68th in passing efficiency. I don't think he won that football game for his team last week, even though everybody might argue he did. Not to mention wide receiver Jordan Tyson pulled a hamstring there. I expect another low-scoring game, making points at a premium. I like Houston plus the 7.5, and I like Houston on the money line. Marco D'Angelo, I mentioned to start the show, that the Deli is just
Yeah.
cruising right along, regardless of what the comment section says, which is really funny because I think you guys are kind of ungrateful. And I think maybe all of you owe Marco an apology. I got his record right here. Hold on, let me pull it up. 21-13. That is 61.7% here on the season for free.
Kelly, you point out that is the bonus show, Marco's Deli, that we do on Thursday, and then it is included in the mega show. So you've got to tune in to the other show. You're going to get 5 more games every week. We release it every Thursday, Marco's Deli. We've had 7 episodes this season, 5 winning weeks, 1 losing week, and 1 2-2-1 week. 21-13, and it's been 4 college plays, 1 NFL game. The NFL game is 6-1 on the season. If you're not tuning in, you're missing out. And as Kelly said, be an insider and you'll get all of these shows early as well. That's another way to go. If you're a Wager Talk insider, she'll tell you more about that later in the show. But sandwich game for this week, Kelly, we've got a Deli special. This one, I think we might say, is a foot-long one. Look at Wake Forest as they play SMU this week. You've got SMU coming off playing Clemson last week. They win on the road at Clemson. Great win for them. Now they play Wake Forest, but look at who they got next week. They got Miami in their house. Now, we know Miami lost last week, but still Miami's one of the top teams in the country in the ranking. So talk about a sandwich. You just beat Clemson, who's been the perennial ACC powerhouse for how many years? And oh, by the way, do you remember that also was a big revenge game for SMU, who beat them in the ACC championship game last year? Yeah, that was Clemson. Now you got Miami on deck, and now you're going to play Wake Forest. How do you stay focused for this one? I'm looking for them on Fat and Sassy alert for sure. And you've got to go back out on the road for a second week in a row. We know that is tough. And then they're not only going out on the road second week in a row, but they're going from an underdog that won outright to now a favorite. That's a situation we don't like to back those type of teams. I'm going to look to the underdog. Wake Forest is 4-2. Their 2 losses came in back-to-back games. They lost at home to NC State when they were -2 in turnovers. Then they had a 1-point loss as a 13.5-point underdog at Georgia Tech. No shame there. They've had 2 weeks to prepare for this game, so giving them another added edge. You've got a team that's feeling fat and sassy. Second week in a row on the road. Big game on deck. Go ahead. Give me Wake Forest this week. Upset alert. Wake Forest 31-27.
Ooh, I love a good upset alert. One of the teams that I thought was maybe going to upset VR was Minnesota. And then I log in and I see that you are on Iowa as your best bet. Before you get into why you like the Hawkeyes as a favorite, which is one of the more terrifying bets that you could possibly make, please let everybody know what you've got going on over at wagertalk.com.
Yeah, well, we're excited about the weekend of college football coming up, a Saturday and Sunday NFL. Of course, those packages up and ready and going to fire a 5% this week, coming off back-to-back 2-0, 5% winners in the NFL. And like this card, listen, again, number 1 in college football right now, number 1 combined NFL college football. Regular season's been phenomenal for the NFL, coming off a losing week. We bounced back huge off the losing week in college football, or only one. So again, man, just jump on board. Now through the bowl games, going to continue doing damage, especially now we got college basketball as well coming. NBA is here. NHL is here. It's a great time to jump on board. Got action every day, doing very well. So head on over to wagertalk.com. And again, Saturday package, Sunday package with 5% big moves involved.
All right. Tell me why I have to lay points with Kirk Ferentz, even though the Gophers did me so right last Friday night.
Kel, if this wasn't a line that was going to move significantly off of what I bet it, I would have fired a 5% on this. It sets up that nicely. I was just such the better team. Like, a lot has to go wrong. Again, in a 60-minute football game, there's a lot of randomness involved. A ref could blow a call. You could have a fumble ran back the other way. There's so much that could go wrong that you can't predict. But all we could do is place good bets. And I sent out Iowa -8 to my subscribers at 8.5. It was worth buying the half a point down because I expected this one to get up to 9.5 range. Wouldn't be surprised if it goes off at 10. Because of that discrepancy is the only reason this isn't a 5%, because I didn't want the girls at Wager Talk to get plastered with nonstop emails asking, what do I do? What do I do? He gave out 8, 8.5. It's now 9, 9.5. I didn't want that headache. But on paper, here's what we know. Neither of these teams are ranked, but if you dig a little deeper, you'll notice Minnesota's actually getting votes. They're getting votes in the rankings. So they really want to put them to crack that 25. Well, here's the bottom line. They're not even in my top 40 as far as power rating wise. That's Minnesota right now. In fact, they're 5-2 with a point differential of plus 55. Iowa's 5-2 also with a point differential of plus 107. So they have a double point differential with the exact same record. Tells you Minnesota's gotten lucky in some of them close games. Then we look at strength of schedule. Iowa, 27th toughest schedule already in college football, top 30. Minnesota, 62nd. So they're not even in the top 60 as far as strength of schedule goes. That's why they're 5-2. As the strength of schedule gets harder, the truth comes out. We saw it with Oklahoma. We saw it with Texas Tech. We're going to see it with Texas A&M. We're going to see it with Georgia Tech, rest assured, and we're going to see it with Minnesota. That'll never crack that top 25. Why? Because they have the 68th most efficient offense, followed by the 26th most efficient defense. That's pretty good, right? 26th most efficient defense. Well, this week they're going up against the 11th most efficient defense. That's right. The 68th most efficient offense is going up against the 11th most efficient defense. And did I add, you see what the splits are for Minnesota, right? They're 5-0 at home, 0-2 on the road. So this is a team that has a strong home field advantage. They're not playing at home this week. They're back on the road again where they haven't done all that well. You could lay 10 comfortably here with Iowa. They blow this team out by 3 touchdowns. The only question about the total is how many points will Minnesota be able to put up against this Iowa number 11 defense? Not many. That's why I lean under as well. Iowa in a one-sided route, lay the points, best bet.
All right. Right now over at Wager Talk, I'm going to give you guys a little secret. You already missed it, but I asked Johnny Detroit to bring it back for this show only. $14.99, an entire year of your favorite handicapper expires at midnight. So if you're seeing this today, coupon code SAVE500 will take $500 off a 1-year package. So I'm sorry if you guys missed the promotion that just expired, but I got you covered. Again, $500 off a year. That gets your cost down to $125 per month. And as a bonus, you're going to get a 25% off coupon, good for the entire 12 months towards regular daily priced packages and any other all access subscriptions. Marco D'Angelo, I just submitted my parlay to John Murray over at the Westgate, and I should have looked to see what you were on, but we're head to head this week. So maybe I need to send him a text and say, wait, John Murray, don't put that Northwestern play up just yet.
All right. Well, first of all I know is both you and VR are trolling me this week. I got to sit there and watch Kelly do this to her hair all the time. And then I got VR putting it back. And I got nothing here. Okay. It's just not right. Okay. You guys are, I'm going to get a complex here, but all right, let's go to best bets anyways. Okay, I'm good. I've got Nebraska here, and there's no question. Nebraska laid a complete egg last Friday night in Minnesota, and to be honest, it was a tough scheduling spot for them. Couple things working against them. They had to play back-to-back road games. Remember, 2 weeks ago, they won on the road in a very entertaining game and went back and forth, them in Maryland. They pulled off the win in Maryland, high-scoring game. Then they had to come right back and play a second week in a row on the road. Little note, Nebraska hadn't won back-to-back road games since 2006, and that streak is still intact because they lost last week. Not only did they have to play a second week in a row on the road, They had to come back and do it on a short week. We talk about it all the time. These home field games on the weekday games, teams that are playing another team on a short week that didn't have a bye before these weekday games, it's a huge advantage for the home team. I give the home team a more of a home field advantage on the weeknight games, just as I do on a Saturday night game versus a Saturday day game. It's just a different atmosphere. Then let's throw in the intangible for last week. You had the James Franklin firing at Penn State, and all the rumors have Matt Rule as being one of the leading candidates that Penn State would want to replace James Franklin. He said all the right things in the interviews. He's happy at Nebraska. They're building something there. That's what a coach is supposed to say. How many times have you seen coaches say that, and then as soon as the season ends, they sign a contract with another team? It had to be a distraction last week. I'm not saying he's going to Penn State, but it was still there, and the players had to be distracted. Now they're coming home. They've got to get refocused to save the season that they have. They have a good defense. They've got an offense, and they've got a quarterback that is electric in Raiola. I look for them to get back at home and play a good home game against a team in this spot that, you look at, what's been going on with the games. I like Nebraska to be able to score in this game. I've got them. They've got the best offensive numbers in this game. They've got the better defensive numbers in this game. And you've got a Northwestern team that's coming off 2 weeks ago beating Penn State. A lot of people stepped in front of them last week thinking that they were going to be flat last week. Well, they returned home. They got another win against Purdue, winning in a 19-0 shutout. Now they're coming off two dominating games, going on the road, getting a touchdown. That looks too easy. I don't take the games that look too easy. I think Nebraska shuts them down. I think Northwestern, this is one of those buy low on Nebraska, getting them where the market is just too high on Northwestern. Let's lay the points with Nebraska. I'm going to call it 34-20. Nebraska gets the win.
All right. Marco texted me last night at like 11 p.m. and goes, talk me off the Jayhawks. And now normally this is a spot where I give you guys out another barking dog, if you will, or at least one from my parlay. Unfortunately, the Kansas State Wildcats are only catching 2.5 here in Lawrence. And it's the first time they've been catching points since Ron Prince was the head coach. And I had just graduated from college in 2009. Yes, both teams are coming off bye weeks, but Kansas State has won the last 16. The last 16. So let's talk about the loss to Dublin, the loss to Army, the loss to Arizona. And what has K-State done since then? That's right. They rattled off some nice wins, and they headed into their bye week. Let's see what KU's done this year. Well, we took them with points versus Mizzou, and they squandered away that win. Then we bet against them on the road, and the only reason why they got the win in the bounce house is because they knocked Trayvon Jackson out of the game with injury. Then they got blown out by Texas Tech. What am I missing here? I think motivation, focus, understanding that they're an underdog. The Wildcats should be able to get that trophy for the 17th straight year. I don't understand this line. I made it K-State -5. K-State has the better rushing attack. They have the better offensive line. And of course, they're going to travel well. The game is an hour east. And oh, by the way, KU still hasn't sold out tickets to that brand new soccer stadium they keep telling everybody about. So give me K-State +2.5, Marco D'Angelo. I hope that was enough information to keep you off the Jayhawks. I'll tell you this too. Living in Florida, I only have access to one app. They ain't moving KU to 3. Right now, it's sitting 2.5 minus a 130 at the Hard Rock. I find that very, very interesting. The whole world wants to lay points with the Jayhawks, and I don't understand it. Let's wrap this show up, boys. We had a great one here on Bet On It. Whether you guys liked it, whether you guys hated it, whether you hate our hair or our
Let
pick,
us know.
or VR's new goatee, whatever it is, drop it in the comment section. We're going to get in there again this week. Chat with all of you guys, hit that thumbs up button, subscribe. And of course, if you guys are looking for the NFL edition of Bet On It, you guys can catch it right here. That mega show that Marco mentioned right here. We'll see you guys next week. Until then, let's bet on it.
Welcome. I am Ralph Michaels. This is the Wager Talk college football bet on it TNA segment. And for those that haven't watched, TNA is exactly what you think it is. Trends and angles. A great show today. Every college football team in August, their goal is to get to a bowl game. Well, what happens when they get a 7th loss and that goal is now out of reach? In our second chart, we're going to break down on how teams that have 2 losses but are still ranked going into their game. And then we're going to finish off with 4 college football systems, including a strong 79% situation. Let's get to it. First off, I want to thank you for taking the time out of your busy day to watch this video. When you're practicing in August, the two-a-days, the training, the brutalness of summer heat, humidity, you have one goal in college football. That's to get to a bowl game. I don't care if you're the best team in the country or the worst team in the country. Every team believes they have a legitimate shot to get to a bowl. So, at what point does your bubble burst? Well, after you get a 7th loss, you are basically bowl ineligible. So let's take a look how teams have done when their preseason goals are now dashed. You see that looking back over the last 10 years, if you blindly bet every team off a loss that gave them 7 losses on the season, you have only won 46%. You have basically lost 54%. Now I broke them down by game. If you're playing game 8 and you already have 7 losses, you likely knew a month ago that you had no hope to get it. Those teams have gone 50%, and actually at home, you see it's the only positive 55% situation for any of the home teams. On the right, those teams in game 8 off a 7th loss, only 43%. But take a look at those overall numbers and those home numbers. I'm going to jump specifically to those teams off a 7th loss and now playing at home. In game 9, they've gone 47% against the spread. Game 10, 48%. Game 11, 35%. And game number 12, 41.5% against the spread. If you look at teams on the road, be it game 8, game 9, game 10, all 3 of those situations under 46%. Game 11, you're still under the Mendoza line at 50.7%. And game 12 on the road, I actually like that. That makes sense to me, because what happens if you have a 7th loss, you're off a bowl? Normally game 12, you are playing your rival. So your rival may look past you because you are bowl ineligible. Those teams with nothing to play for except winning that final game of the season on the road have done so 27 of 22 times against the spread, 55.1%. So not many positives after a team has a 7th loss. Let's see if this chart can get you another winner or two in the next few weeks. Situation number 2, teams like LSU, Tennessee, and Illinois, that after their 2nd loss of the season, they are still ranked. Now they have extreme pressure. These teams had 1 loss going into the previous game. They lost their game. They're now fighting for their lives. They know if they have 3 losses, they're going to be out of the playoff contention. Well, if from game 7 on, your team is off a loss, they now have 2 losses on the season, and they are still ranked 27 and 45 against the spread, 37.5%. That is a 62.5% fade situation. If those teams are now playing game 7, game 8, game 9, or game 10, look at those ATS win percentages. 31%, 40%, 33%, and 39%. Just like our previous chart, when we get to game 12, you are likely playing your rival. You may have had 2 losses, but beating your rival can finish your season on a positive note. So down the stretch, we do have those teams in game 11 and game 12 at 50% and at 62%. But look on the bottom with the light orange shading. Home teams have been bad. This is from game 7 on, 43.2%. But look at those road teams. Only 6 ATS wins and 17 ATS losses. That is 26.1%. What 2 teams this week are off a loss, have 2 losses in the season, and are still ranked playing on the road? Tennessee and Illinois fall into that 26.1% situation. Guys, before I get to these 4 awesome systems, I do want to mention a great special. The Weekend Warrior has been amazing. That gets you Saturday college football and Sunday NFL for $49. But how if I do even better? I don't do many NHL plays. I'm 1-0 this year. I don't do many NBA plays the beginning of the season, and I have limited college basketball at the beginning of the season, but still, you can get 30 days of college football, the NFL, the NHL, the NBA, and college hoops for just $199. That is under $7 a day. Head to wagertalk.com. The shortcut to my homepage is wt.buzz/RM. Sign up for the 30-day package for $299. And make sure you write down this coupon code, under 7, UNDER, the number 7, no spaces. You will get 30 days of every play I release for under $7 a day, just $199. Number 2 in college football since the start of 2024. A 10-0 college football run. Also 37-15, 71% my last 52 college football plays. College football plays rated 4% and higher, 18-6, 75%. And I will have a college football play this week. My 5% college football plays, 9-2, 82%. 30-day all access, normally $299. Yours for just $199. The code, under 7, no spaces, UNDER, number 7. System number 1. Teams off 3 straight losses, but they are well rested with 11 or more days of rest. So how have these teams done? You've lost back-to-back-to-back games. Do they respond off the bye? They certainly have. Those teams like Middle Tennessee and Rice have gone 48-22 against the spread, 69%. And that is even a little higher from game number 6 and later, going 42-17, 71%. So system 1, teams off 3 straight up losses, but at least 11 days rest. Middle Tennessee and Rice fall into that category. Situation number 2. Home dogs up to plus 11. They've played at least 5 games this season, and they have won at least 7 straight home games. This only applies to one team this week. That is Memphis. Memphis is a home dog. Memphis has played 5 games. Memphis has won at least 7 straight home games. Those teams, like the Tigers, since 2015, have gone 48-21, 70% against the spread. Before we get to our final 2 systems, do us one favor, hit that like button. If you learn one thing on this video, leave a comment, share your information, add anything you want added. Any comments you leave helps our algorithms. It allows us to continue to do all this free content for you. And remember, over 300,000 people follow Wager Talk among their social media networks. If you're not one of them, why the heck not? Let's finish this off with these two systems. First off, an away dog of +3 or higher with 7 or more wins and no losses. Well, you are now 7-0. Are you a legitimate 7-0? Or because you're an away dog of a field goal or more, perhaps that's not the case. There's one team that applies to this week. What team is undefeated and is an away dog of 3 or more? That would be BYU. They are in a fade situation this week. Those away dogs, undefeated, are 10-25 against the spread. That is 29%. So system 3 says to fade BYU or play on Iowa State. And the fourth and final trend for this college football TNA segment for the third week in October, a conference away dog off a straight up an ATS loss, but they're rested. They have at least 5 more days of rest than their opponent, and they also have a lower win percentage. So let's see, who does that apply to? That would be the Wolfpack of North Carolina State. Yes, they are a conference away dog. Yes, they are a straight up an ATS loss. Yes, they have a lower win percentage than Pittsburgh. And yes, they have at least 5 days more of rest than the Panthers. Those teams like the Wolfpack are now 26-7-1 against the spread. 79% system says back those NC State Wolfpack versus the Panthers this week. Hit that like button, leave a comment, make sure to check out my NFL video, and don't forget, my first college football 5% in a month. They are 9-2, and I am a perfect 10-0 run on all of my college football plays the last 3 weeks. Thank you again. Make sure you follow me on Twitter at KelSportsLV. Follow Wager Talk on their social media, and I'll be back with another video and some more TNA.
Who's hungry? The deli's open. Hey guys, Marco D'Angelo here for another edition of Marco's Deli, powered by wagertalk.com. We've had 7 episodes so far, 5 winning weeks, 1 losing week, and 1 break-even week. Let's keep the deli rolling along as we've got 5 more winners for you this week. And I just want to thank you guys for tuning in. You guys have really helped the channel out. Give us those thumbs up. It helps the channel a lot, guys. And leave me a comment. I love you guys have been telling me where you're watching from. I love getting to know you guys. I try to drop into the comments and answer all your questions. So be sure to keep doing that, guys. I appreciate it. Now let's get on to this week's winners. Let's start with the first one. And Alabama at South Carolina. Now, I know you guys don't want to step in front of Alabama. I can't blame you. But here's what I'm going to say. We're taking South Carolina. We're going to trust the process and the situation. Alabama is on the road at South Carolina this week after playing a big revenge game last week against Tennessee. They got the win. If you remember, a couple weeks ago, they had a big revenge game against Vanderbilt. Well, they got that taken care of, and then the following week, they struggled, just got by Missouri by 3 points. Now, I'm not going to try to compare South Carolina and Missouri. Obviously, Missouri is a better team, but we're looking at a big number here. We're seeing a number of 12. Now, we also have a situation, not only is Alabama coming off that big satisfying win, but look who they play next. They have LSU. This is a classic sandwich letdown look-ahead spot for Alabama. You've got South Carolina coming off an ugly loss. They lost 26-7 to Oklahoma. They're catching 12 here. Now, as good as Alabama's been playing, and South Carolina coming off a blowout loss last week, would you really have been surprised if this number would have been 13.5 or 14? No, you wouldn't have thought anything of it. The fact that it's sitting at 12 tells me they're trying to get you to take a little bit of that Alabama and lay the points. I'm not going to do it. I'm going to go ahead and take South Carolina here. This is a good spot for them. I don't think they're going to be able to upset Alabama. I'm not saying that, but I am saying this game's going to be a lot closer than people think. Let's go and take South Carolina plus 12 for game number 1. Game number 2, we're going to take a look at BYU at Iowa State. Now, BYU's coming off a monster win in their last game. It was a big rivalry game. It's called the Holy War, BYU and Utah. These two teams don't like each other. It's a big rivalry. And BYU was able to escape with a 3-point win. Now you've got an undefeated BYU team where their stock couldn't be any higher right now. They're ranked 11th in the country, and they're an underdog on the road to Iowa State, who's got 2 losses. What's up with that? That should be your first red flag. But what really sets this up is coming off of that Utah game, which, as I said, is a huge rivalry game. Look at who BYU has next. They've got Texas Tech. Now, Texas Tech is the darling of the Big 12. We know that they spent all that money this year with the NILs to get the top players to go to Texas Tech, and it's paying dividends for them. That's a big showdown game. Now, I will point out that game is in 2 weeks, not next week. BYU does have a bye next week, which tapers it a little bit, but still, you're coming off your biggest rivalry game against Utah, and you've got a monster game on deck, and you're playing an Iowa State team that's got 2 losses. How do you really get totally focused for this one? Iowa State, those 2 losses, I can understand how they happened. They had a gut-wrenching loss to Cincinnati 2 games ago. It was a shootout, 38-30. Could have went either way. They lose that game. And how many times have I told you, when a team loses a big game or loses that first game of the season, oftentimes they come out flat the next week. They can lose the same game twice. And we were on their opponent. Colorado upset them. Now they've had 2 weeks to prepare for this game. I see them getting the job done here. I'm going to go ahead. You've got an unranked team laying 2.5 to a ranked team that's undefeated. Something's wrong there. We're going to go ahead and take Iowa State minus 2.5 for play number 2. Play number 3 in the Deli this week. We're going to take a look at Missouri at Vanderbilt. Now, Vanderbilt, after playing Alabama and LSU in back-to-back weeks, has Texas on deck. This makes this a classic sandwich spot for them. Missouri was able to come from behind and beat Auburn last week in overtime. Now, Missouri came out flat last week after the gut-wrenching loss to Alabama the week before, 27-24. I'll be honest, I was on Auburn in that game because I thought they were going to lose the same game twice. Well, they almost did. They were flat as a pancake at the beginning of that game, first half, and they didn't rally until the fourth quarter, sent it into overtime, and then they were able to get the win in overtime. This tells me how good this Missouri team actually is. They didn't play their best game, and yet they still found a way to win the game last week. I think they're in a spot here where they can get Vanderbilt in a right spot coming off of back-to-back big games and another big game on deck. And we've got a very good defense with Missouri. Now, we know how good the Vanderbilt offense is. They're averaging 31 points or more, I think, in 6 of their 7 games. But they're going to be facing one of the best defenses they've seen all year. Missouri is averaging just 17 points per game defensively this year, allowing just 17 points per game. I'm going to go ahead, give me the better defense, getting points against the team in a bad scheduling spot. Sign me up every time. Give me Missouri plus the 2.5. Now, before we get to the final 2 games, just a little bit of business to take care of. I already asked you guys to give me that thumbs up. That really helps the channel out. If you're not subscribed to the channel and you don't want to miss any of these videos, hit the subscribe button. It's free. It'll let you know every time there's a new video available at Wager Talk. Also, guys, if you like the way I do these videos and you want to jump on board and get my premium plays, we got a couple offers this week. As always, we got that Weekend Warrior package. It's $49. You can get all of my plays Saturday and Sunday in football. We're going to have a couple big plays over the weekend. Our 4% and higher plays in college football this year, 11-4. We already have 4% loaded for Saturday. There's going to be another big play, and it's quite possibly going to be a 5% play. Don't miss out. Head on over to wagertalk.com. You can sign up. Just $49 will get you the Weekend Warrior package. But you want all of my plays? Well, we've got a deal for you too. In fact, this deal is site-wide. You can get it for any of the cappers at Wager Talk. You can pick up the rest of 2025. That's right. Every play, every sport through December 31st for just $590. That's just $59 a week, guys. And I just told you about that Weekend Warrior package. That's $49 for a weekend, and you're just getting the football, college and pro. If you want to get everything, $10 more, $59 it averages out per week. Pick up that $590 rest of 2025 package right now at Wager Talk. And guys, NBA just started. We're 1-0 already on the NBA season. We are the #1 NBA handicapper since 2020, making our clients over 193 units. Profit, #1 at Wager Talk in NBA, #1 in hockey since 2021 as well in Money One. You'll get every play I release the rest of the season for that $590 price. All right, enough about that. Let's get right back to the action. One more college play for you and then one NFL play. College play, we're going to look at Toledo at Washington State. This one falls into both a trap and a sandwich game. Washington State just played 3 in a row on the road. They covered all 3 games. Now, playing 3 in a row on the road is tough for any team. It's even more tough for Washington State having to travel across the country. As you know, they are one of the 2 orphans of the Pac-12, the other one being Oregon State, when everybody abandoned the conference to go to other conferences. So Washington State's got to schedule whoever they can get, and they've been traveling all over the country, crisscrossing back and forth. That takes its toll. Now they're back at home for 1 game, and they're playing Toledo. Well, if you look at those 3 games they played on the road, they covered all 3 games. They went 1-2 straight up, but they covered all 3 of them. They got a win at Colorado State to start that 3-game road trip, and then they had back-to-back near upsets. They went to Ole Miss as a 33-point underdog and just missed, losing by 3 points. I got to point out that they probably caught Ole Miss looking right past them because Ole Miss had Georgia up next. And 33-point favorite, well, they almost got caught with their pants down. Then Washington State the very next week goes to Virginia as a 16-point underdog and only loses by 2. Now, I can say this much for you. Keep making those big games like that and just coming up short, that's going to take its toll. But after playing all those big-name teams, Ole Miss in Virginia, now they're returning home to play a MAC school, Toledo. Do you think they're going to have the same intensity? And do you think those other schools looked past Washington State? Absolutely they did. Do you think Toledo, a MAC team, is going to look past them? No, this is a big game for them. Even though they're traveling cross-country to play Washington State, it is a name school, okay? Just a couple of years removed from the Pac-12. So a win in Washington State would be huge for Toledo. And when you look at the stats of these 2 teams, Toledo has the better offense and Toledo has the better defense. And they're getting 1.5. And that 1.5 smells fishy too, guys. That's where the trap part comes in. If Washington State has played as well as they have the last 3 weeks, and now they're returning home, why in the world are they only a 1.5-point favorite? They're begging you to take Washington State. I'm not falling for it. We're going to take Toledo in this spot. And oh, by the way, I forgot to mention the sandwich part. Guess who Washington State plays next? Oregon State. You might say, so what? Well, that's their buddy, their fellow orphan of the Pac-12. That's a big game for them. I'm going to go with Toledo to get the win in Washington State. Go ahead and take Toledo plus 1.5. And for the final play of this week's Deli, we're going to go to the NFL. And boy, the NFL has been good to us here on Marco's Deli. 6-1 for the season with the Deli plays. Let's see if we can make it 7-1. And you might have to hold your nose, guys, because you're not going to like it. But it is the New York Jets. They are 0-7. I get it. But 0-7 straight up. They're actually 3-4 against the spread. All right. And they've played probably as bad as you could possibly play. And they're 3-4 against the spread. They've got absolutely no production from the quarterback position after the first week of the season. Enter Tyrod Taylor. He is set to replace Justin Fields. He did get banged up in relief last week, but all indications as of now, and we're taping this on Thursday morning, is that he is going to start on Sunday. So we're making this play with him as the starter. And the best thing for a team that is struggling the way the Jets have this year, being 0-7, is to go out on the road. And I know that sounds crazy, but here's why. When things aren't going bad and you're playing at home, you're getting booed. Okay. Nobody wants to get booed. Okay. Especially in their own stadium. You also have to listen to the local media and talk shows every single day. The reporters are there covering the team, asking the same questions, 15 different ways. What's wrong with the team? This and that. Get out on the road. You don't have to deal with that. Also, when you're on the road, the players get to bond more. You're hanging out more with the players. Okay. And this is a spot where they're going to play a Cincinnati team that's coming off their season high. Beating the Steelers last week on Thursday Night Football with Joe Flacco making his second start was huge. Now, everybody's going to look at that and say, if Joe Flacco could do what he did to the Steelers, what's it going to do to the Jets? Well, first of all, Joe Flacco always does that to the Steelers. That's one of the reasons why last week for my clients, we had a monster play on the game to go over the total. What an easy winner that was, 33-31. The Jets defense actually has played good this season. And as I said, they have to. If they're 0-7 and they're 3-4 against the spread, they have played good. And I think they're going to contain Cincinnati enough to stay in under this inflated number. And then let's talk about Cincinnati. They still have a horrible defense. Pittsburgh scored 31 points on them last week. Pittsburgh hasn't been scoring a lot of points. That tells you also how bad Cincinnati is. I think the Jets get enough in this game to cover this 6.5. Now, I usually tell you, grab a game right away because the line's going to move, and it's probably going to move against us. Sitting at 6.5, if it goes against us and goes to 6, we really don't lose anything. But if we wait till the public gets involved on the weekend, strong possibility this game gets to 7. And that's worth waiting for. So officially, I'm giving it out today on Thursday. The line is 6.5. I think if you wait, you'll be able to get a 7 on Sunday. But we're giving it out today at 6.5. That's what it will be graded at. Take the New York Jets as the NFL play this week from Marco's Deli. Guys, thank you for tuning in. I really do appreciate you guys. We'll be back next week with it. I want to hear from you in the comment section. I'll stop by. I'll answer all your questions. Tell me where you're from. Tell me what plays you like. Tell me what games I'm full of shit on. I don't care. We want to talk about it. And I appreciate you guys truly, and I love all the comments. I will see you next week at Marco's Deli. And as always, good luck, and let's cash some tickets.